Robert Farquharson is an Australian man who was convicted of murdering his sons on the 4th of September 2005 by deliberately driving his vehicle into a farm dam. He was convicted but later appealed, and also throughout he has maintained his innocence. He won the right to appeal at one time and then was released on bail, but subsequently he was convicted again in July 2010. Part of the police interview has recently been released, and so due to the recent discussions around there, I thought I would review part of that and to give some feedback as well. So whilst he's trying to maintain his innocence, I thought I will take the time to review some of the elements from a verbal and non-verbal point of view to give you some feedback on some of the things that I see.
I'm telling the truth, I blacked out. I had a coughing fit and I blacked out. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
When you say that, what wouldn't you do?
I mean, I wouldn't do something deliberately like that. What people were trying to say, I had a coughing fit and I blacked out. I can't remember anything. That's the honest truth.
Well, if it wasn't an accident, what's the alternative?
Well, I don't know, because I couldn't think that way.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I couldn't think that way. I mean, not like that. I'm sorry.
Well, did you drive off the highway deliberately into the dam?
No, I did not.
Do you know what would happen if somebody drove off a highway into water like that? You know what would happen, don't you?
In relation to what?
To what would happen to the children.
Oh, it would be pretty obvious what would happen. But I certainly did not drive off there deliberately. I had a coughing fit. I blacked out.
Yep.
I can't recall anything else except being in the water.
The car's in the dam. You've realised that you're in the water. Did you do anything in relation to helping the boys?
I think, like I said, he just opened the door, water come in, and everything was just so quick.
Okay, what about you? Did you do anything?
I think I undermined, so just wait, I'll try and get us out of here or something. I don't know, I don't know. It's just all a big blur. I couldn't be specific. I mean, no point in saying something because it could be wrong. Not that I've got nothing to hide, but I can't say specifically that's what happened.
How do you feel about what's happened?
Pretty else. Oh, my life. My world. I wouldn't even go to Queensland for a holiday because they'd miss me and I'd miss them. And then my world.
Firstly, from the video, he had a well-rehearsed line when he's saying, I had a coughing fit and blacked out. You would see that he keeps exactly the same speaking cadence and repeated hand and face movements at the same time for that. So he uses that throughout the video that's been released as a bit of a default response. You notice that he said when he was asking about what occurred, he says, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do something deliberately like that, but he doesn't say what that is. And so when people are involved with acts, they try and distance themselves. They want to drop the I and also not specifically say what the act was. At one point in time during the interview, he says, I blacked out and I can't remember anything. But as he's saying that, like I blacked out, I can't remember anything. But he's nodding his head as he says this. So that shows strong incongruence at the same time. So this indicates during that time that he has more knowledge than what he shared at that time. Another time he says, when he's questioned by the police, and says the fact that it's the honest truth, but as he's saying that, he's saying it's the honest truth. So once again, there's not congruence there between the words that he's saying and the body language that he's showing. As the police continue, he shows licking of lips and hard swallowing, which are other deceptive indicators as well. When we get cortisol released due to stress or discomfort, it affects the saliva production. He then uses the words, all people reassured me it was exactly the way that I had said, and doesn't mention any people's names. There's no identifiers there. During that time as well, he shows the delay when there's a pause due to the cognitive load as he's trying to fabricate some of the responses. At the 55-second mark, police ask if he drove deliberately into the dam, and he says, no, I did not. Once again, very, very strong indicator there, the complete lack of congruence. His blink rate substantially spikes at exactly that same time. We blink from 12 to 14 blinks per minute, but when we have deceptive behaviour as well, we can get that spike in blink rate. And that's what occurred there during that time at exactly the same time as it was being incongruent with his body language. Further into the interview at the 1 minute and 11 mark, police ask what would have happened to their children. Then obviously if this had occurred, what would have happened? And he then has the eye flutter and then the blink spike again. He later on in the interview, I think it's about the 1:15 mark, he says, I didn't drive off deliberately. And as he's saying that, he's saying yes. Firstly, you don't need to say you're certain and continue to say that if you're certain. It's a filler word. But also, he's nodding his head yes as he did, which once again is quite strong. He then jumps back to his rehearsed answer, quite rehearsed. So rehearsed that even his speaking cadence, his head and hands go in time with a coordinated movement. That's like his basic point, like his reset point, that he thought if he's consistent with that, may help him in good stead. Police then ask him in the interview if he did anything to help the boys, and he instantly shook his head no, instantly, the second he was asked that question. But then he didn't even answer the question, he just gave extra fluff and filler words. So rather than that, he said, and the words he said was, like I said, he just opened the door. Didn't even say I opened the door. He said he just opened the door and the water was coming in. He dropped the I. As I said, people drop the I when they want to distance themselves from a person or from a situation. Police obviously had realised or had some indication there, so they continued on and said, okay, what about the seatbelts? What did you do with the seatbelts? They specifically asked if he helped with the seatbelts. Once again, he didn't respond on what he did. Yes, I did, or no, he didn't. His response was, I don't know if Jayan did his. He doesn't talk to his actions at all, trying to completely remove himself from the involvement there. Police then go through and continue asking questions, and once again, he fabricates responses. He changes his eye contact and that as well, changes his speaking cadence. So from that time when police were on him about if he did anything with the seatbelts, he didn't do anything. He then says as well, which was unrequested, there's no use me saying something because it could be wrong, and then stops and says, I've got nothing to hide. And he continues on. He's selling, not telling at that time. Truth tellers convey, liars convince. And during that time, he's trying to convince of his innocence. That's why he puts in these extra filler words, the extra fluff words that he's putting in. In summary, even for that snippet interview for a couple of minutes, I believe that there's enough shown with his behaviours there that he's not being honest. And I think that there's indicators that he deliberately committed this act.